if you're exercising, I know you want to get some results, whether those results are calming your anxiety, alleviating your depression, reducing your chronic dizziness or your pain, or improving your physical fitness or your health. So, I want to talk about one way to boost your motivation and improve your results. And this is something that not a lot of people in the fitness industry really talk about. It has nothing to do with discipline or willpower. It's not about your muscles or the specific exercises you're doing. It's all about your mindset. So this video is about one aspect of creating a healthy fitness mindset, which is taking control of your exercise choices and how that can improve your results. The feeling that you're in control of your choices and actions is called autonomy. So autonomy is a basic human need. We need to feel like we have control over our lives and that we're free and able to make our own decisions. So in behavioral psychology, autonomy is one of the three basic factors for creating long-lasting motivation to do anything, including exercise. Now, you've probably felt this before, right? I know I have. If someone tells me to do something, especially if they're kind of pushy about it, I sort of automatically feel this resistance, right? I'm like, no, no, thank you. Even if that thing is something that I know would be good for me. Like when my dentist tells me I should floss more, and I think, yeah, I know you're right, but I don't feel particularly motivated to do it. But then sometimes, for whatever reason, I decide I want to floss more, and suddenly I think it's the best idea in the world, and I have all this energy behind me, and I really want to make an effort. So when that switch flips and you decide to take autonomy over your health and fitness choices, it actually fundamentally changes the way you experience your workouts. It improves your motivation and it allows you to push yourself in those workouts, and that can have a really big effect on the results you'll get. So I want to talk about some of the research because you might be a little skeptical here. So I want to explain how a shift in your mindset can actually change the way you feel about exercise. So there was a study in 2009 that had participants exercise on a treadmill for 30 minutes. They did 2 sessions on that treadmill. In the first session, they could adjust the treadmill speed to whatever they liked, but the display on the control panel was covered, so they didn't actually see what speed they had chosen, they just got to choose the speed. About a week later, they came back and they did another 30 minutes on that same treadmill, but this time they were told that the researchers were going to set the speed for them. Now, they didn't know that the researchers actually set the treadmill to the exact same speed that they themselves had chosen in the first session. Before, during, and after the exercise, these people rated their enjoyment and their motivation. And even though they were doing the exact same workout, they enjoyed it more and felt more motivated when they had chosen their own speed because of their autonomy. Now, other research backs this up. Now, this I think is really interesting. I'm going to do my best to explain it clearly. Many studies have looked at the relationship between how pleasurable or enjoyable exercise is and how intense it is. So intensity is basically how hard you're working. So for cardio intensity, it's how hard or how fast you're running or cycling or whatever. In strength training, it's how heavy the weights are. There's a threshold where exercise changes from feeling pretty pleasant, enjoyable, easy, you feel pretty good, to suddenly it feels really unpleasant. Like, this is really hard, I don't want to keep doing this. For most people, and there are people who are exceptions to this is not everyone, but for most people, that threshold is about the point when you start breathing really heavily. In exercise science, we call that the ventilatory threshold. And at that threshold, or even if you go a little bit past it, now you're not liking that exercise so much. So a lot of high intensity exercise is considered, pretty unpleasant for people, and they have a hard time motivating themselves to do it. So think like heavy strength training, interval training, really hard group classes. But those hard workouts, especially your heavy strength training, are the ones that are going to have the most positive impact when it comes to your mental and physical health. Getting rid of your symptoms if you're dealing with chronic dizziness, improving your fitness the most. These are the most bang for your buck workouts. Now, I'm not saying every workout needs to be hard, but if you want the best results, then some of them do need to be hard. So what you want is to be able to get to the I don't like this anymore threshold and still be able to keep going and push past it. Now, some people will argue, well, you just need more discipline. You just need more willpower, whatever. Honestly, I think discipline and willpower are overrated, right? That's fighting yourself. We don't want to fight with ourselves. What I think is much more effective, and what I'm trying to get at with this video, is to set yourself up to enjoy your exercise more. So when we go back to the research, what usually happens is that the researchers are the ones setting the treadmill speed or the bike resistance or choosing the weights. So in the real world, that's your personal trainer or your group fitness instructor is choosing the weights for you. They're the ones telling you to push yourself. And what happens in those situations is that you cross that intensity threshold and that workout feels really hard and unpleasant and you're not really that motivated to keep doing it. But in the studies where people are allowed to choose their own weights or their own pace, you see something really interesting happen. The people that choose for themselves to push into high intensity, they still feel it as being hard. It's just hard. There's no getting around that. But it doesn't feel that unpleasant, right? That's what this chart is showing. So that blue line at the top shows what happens when autonomy is involved, right? That threshold where exercise starts to not feel so good anymore, it gets shifted over. So you can push harder and it still feels okay. It might even sometimes feel good. Again, why? Because of autonomy. So you're in control, and with that comes these feelings of power, of satisfaction, of pride. So you can kind of override that unpleasantness and do more hard workouts, which will get you better results. Now, again, I don't want anyone to misunderstand me. I am not saying that you always have to push yourself as much as possible. But if you have the ability to push yourself sometimes, you're going to get better results that way. And this is one way to build the ability to push yourself and to do hard things. So what does this actually mean for you? Well, it means you can improve your motivation and be more likely to exercise consistently and exercise harder just by changing your mindset and reframing your exercise experience. So take ownership of your exercise by deciding for yourself what workouts you'll do or how much effort you're going to put in. Now, I'm not saying you have to be designing your own workouts yourself from scratch so that you can feel in control of them. You don't actually have to make up your own workouts yourself. You can really take any pre-made program and make some tweaks to it to make it your own. So for example, there are basic guidelines for effective exercise, but there's a lot of flexibility in the details within those guidelines. So for strength training, for example, you want to be doing your basic fundamental movements in each workout. So that's your push, your pull, your squat, your hinge, and your core exercises. But within each of those categories, you can choose the specific exercises you do. You can choose the weights you use. You could choose the number of sets and reps that you do, or how long you rest between exercises. There are so many opportunities to take ownership, and I have videos that will give you some guidance for each of those choices. Or if you really can't make any changes to the workout itself because it's a video or you're in a class, you can take ownership by choosing to perform each movement for your own reasons, right? So make a list of all the reasons you're choosing to work out and consciously remind yourself of them as you're doing each exercise, especially the hard ones. So when you're in a group class and the instructor tells you to start doing squats, instead of thinking, I hate squats and now they're making me do this horrible exercise, you can reframe that and you can think, okay, I'm choosing to be here because it's going to make me feel good afterwards, because it's going to give me a sense of pride and achievement, because it's going to improve my fitness so I can have more energy to do the things that I love. And then choose to push yourself towards those results.